Welcome to the Deep Dive. We like to get to the bottom of things, the things that make you think, I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
And today we're going to be diving into something that you might not even realize you should be questioning. And that is, can we really trust published research?
That's a great question, and it's more relevant than you might think. We're using research to inform decisions every single day, from the business world to our personal lives.
Right.
But what if that foundation is shaky?
Yeah, and that's what we're here to find out.
Exactly.
We're taking a deep dive into a 2017 article from Strategic Organization.
Okay.
It's titled, "Is There a Credibility Crisis in Strategic Management Research?" And buckle up, because Berg, Sharp, Guinness, and Lim, they don't hold back.
No, they don't. They get right to it.
Yeah.
They tackled a really fundamental question, and that question is reproducibility.
Okay.
Can you take the data from a published study and get the same results? Think of it like a recipe. You know, if you follow the same steps, you should end up with the same cake.
Right. And if you end up with a pancake, something's off with the recipe.
Exactly. So how did they test this in the strategic management world?
Well, they focused on 88 articles from the Strategic Management Journal, which is a leading publication in the field.
Right, it's a top journal.
Yeah. And these articles used really common statistical methods.
Yeah.
And their goal was to recreate the findings just using the information provided in the publications.
Okay, makes sense.
So it seems simple enough.
Right.
Did they hit any snags?
Yeah, more than a few. Over 70% of those studies didn't even have enough information for the researchers to even attempt reproducing those findings.
Wow.
Yeah, they were missing crucial details like complete statistical reporting, variables, and other necessary data points.
So it's not necessarily that the research was bad, but they left out key parts of the recipe.
It's like trying to bake that cake with half the ingredients missing.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a bit unnerving.
It is, and what's even more striking is this lack of transparency. It was consistent across studies published in 2000 to 2004,
Okay.
and then also studies published between 2010 and 2013.
So no improvement over time.
Doesn't seem like it.
Ouch. Okay, so out of those 88 articles, how many were they actually able to put to the test?
Only 29.5% provided enough information for a retest.
Whoa, so less than a third.
Less than a third, yeah.
Okay, so what happened when they reran the numbers on that smaller group?
Well, in most cases, the researchers, they were able to reproduce the general direction of the findings.
Okay.
So if a variable was shown to have a positive or negative impact in the original study, the reproduction usually showed the same thing.
So at least they got the direction right.
Yes, but there's a catch. When it came to statistical significance, a measure of how reliable those results are, there were some major discrepancies. Imagine finding out that a key ingredient was measured incorrectly in that cake recipe.
Yeah.
The cake might still taste okay, but it wouldn't be the same, right?
Okay, now I'm getting a little nervous.
Yeah.
How often did these discrepancies pop up?
Almost 30% of the studies they were able to retest showed statistically significant results in the original articles that vanished when they reanalyzed the data.
Hey, hold on. Almost a third of the studies had findings that didn't hold up under scrutiny.
And we're not talking small discrepancies here. These were substantial differences.
That's a lot.
It is. And it raises a huge red flag about the reliability of research, especially when it informs critical business decisions.
Right.
What if those decisions were based on statistically insignificant results masquerading as reliable findings? That's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. This is starting to feel less like a deep dive and more like we're falling down a rabbit hole.
I know what you mean.
So what does this mean for the field of strategic management? And more importantly, what does it mean for anyone relying on this research to have decisions?
That's what we'll unpack after a quick break.
Sounds good.
Yeah, this isn't just some academic debate about, numbers and p-values.
Yeah, it feels like something that could have a ripple effect on the real world.
Absolutely. Think about all the decisions being made based on published research.
Yeah.
Business leaders, policymakers, even everyday people like yourself, you're relying on these findings.
Right, from investment strategies to marketing campaigns to even personal choices,
Right.
which new productivity hack to try.
Yeah.
It's all influenced by research in some way.
Exactly. And if the research itself isn't reliable, it undermines the very foundation of those decisions.
So what can we do? Is there a way to kind of rebuild trust in in strategic management research?
Well, the authors of this article, they offer some pretty strong recommendations. They call for like a major overhaul of the peer review process.
Okay.
That system where research gets evaluated before it's published.
Right, makes sense.
Hmm.
If journals want to publish reliable research,
Yeah.
they need a way to make sure the findings can be reproduced.
Exactly. They suggest that journals should require authors to be more transparent with their data.
Right.
Like, report the exact p-values instead of just indicating statistical significance with, those little asterisks.
Oh, okay, so we can actually see the strength of the results.
Yeah.
Not just a simplified yes or no.
Exactly. They also recommend that authors clearly explain all the decisions that were made during the analysis, like how they handled missing data or outliers.
So no more sweeping those tricky bits under the rug.
Yeah, no more of that.
Okay.
Full transparency, showing all the work, like in math class.
Right, you get credit not just for the answer, but for, like, how you got there.
Exactly, a perfect analogy.
I like that.
Yeah. They even suggest that journals should require authors to conduct reproducibility tests before submitting their articles.
Wait, so researchers will have to prove their findings can be reproduced before they can even be considered for publication?
That's the idea. It would really raise the bar for quality and make sure that only the most robust research gets published.
That would be a huge shift for the field, but
Yeah.
I can see how it would help to, like, restore credibility.
It would. But this responsibility, it doesn't just rest on the shoulders of journals. Individual researchers, they also need to be more transparent and rigorous in their work, too.
Right, and as consumers of research,
Yeah.
we also have a part to play, right?
Absolutely. We need to be more critical of what we read. Don't just take things at face value.
Right.
Look for studies that provide enough information to actually allow for reproduction.
So we need to, like, channel our inner skeptic and ask some tough questions.
Exactly. Ask yourself, can I trust the data? Can I trust the methods? Were the findings replicated by other researchers?
Okay.
Those are all signs of credible research.
So it's like being a detective looking for clues to kind of assess the credibility of the information that we're encountering.
Exactly. And remember, research is a human endeavor.
Yeah.
And humans, well, we're prone to errors and biases, right?
Sure.
By demanding more transparency and rigor, we can help safeguard the integrity of the research process.
So this isn't about being distrustful. It's about being an informed and active participant in the quest for reliable knowledge.
Exactly.
But how do we actually apply this to our daily lives? Like, how does this awareness of reproducibility impact our decisions?
That's a great question, and it's one we'll explore as we wrap up our deep dive.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so we've uncovered some pretty thought-provoking insights about the reliability of research. But the real question is, how can we apply this awareness to, like, our own lives?
Yeah. It's about being a more discerning consumer of information. I mean, think about it. We're bombarded with research findings every single day, from news articles to social media posts to conversations with colleagues. But not all research is created equal, right?
Right. So how do we sift through all the noise and figure out what to trust?
Well, I think you can start by considering the source. Is it a reputable journal or organization? Are the authors experts in their field?
That makes sense, but sometimes you come across, like, a fascinating study from, maybe a lesser-known source.
Right.
What then?
I think you gotta dig a little deeper into the methodology. Did they clearly explain their methods and how they analyze the data? Did they provide enough detail for those findings to be reproduced?
Yeah.
Transparency is key.
So it's like being a detective looking for clues to kind of determine the reliability of the research.
Yeah, precisely. And if you really want to be sure, look for studies that have been replicated by other researchers.
Right, because if multiple studies arrive at the same conclusions, it increases our confidence in the findings.
Exactly. Replication is a cornerstone of good science.
Yeah.
It helps to weed out flukes and biases, and it gives us a more accurate picture of reality.
This has been a real eye-opener. What's the most important takeaway for our listeners today?
Well, the research world, it's built on trust, but we can't afford to be passive consumers of information.
Right.
Challenge the research you read. Demand transparency. And don't just accept findings at face value, especially when they have real-world implications.
So it's about being an active participant in the knowledge creation process.
Yeah.
By asking tough questions and demanding rigor, we can help to ensure that the research that we rely on is credible and trustworthy.
Absolutely. And remember, A healthy dose of skepticism isn't about being cynical. It's about being an informed and empowered decision maker.
Well said.
Sure.
That's a wrap on our deep dive into reproducibility.
Yeah.
We hope you've enjoyed this exploration and come away with new tools to evaluate the information that you encounter.
Yeah.
Until next time, keep those critical thinking skills sharp.